citizens across grand spectrums of time and the multiverse. My name is Alexander Gordon Johans, and I've been playing more Civ 5. And it's kind of becoming a bit of a problem for me. Well, not really necessarily a problem per se, but it's very compelling. Ridiculously compelling. I mean, I was playing Skyrim again. I was doing the magic run, and I was going through the DLCs, and basically, I wanted to do a Total War campaign. I just wanted to dominate. I just wanted to dominate the continent, sweep over, sweep through, siege units, take over citadels. Because I at this point, right, I now know that I can achieve like the culture victory. I now know how to do that. You stay small, and you field enough of an army that you can prevent yourself being swamped. But more or less, once you've got your continent locked down, you're pretty safe, at least until like nuclear era. And by then, the idea is that you will have won anyway. And you can always sort of essentially raise cities to the ground, so you don't actually have to incur the penalty to culture. But I wanted to do a sort of global domination run, and I did it. I did it well. So then I did it again at a slightly higher difficulty, and I did that well. And someone asked me once, when I first started playing the game, who's my favourite Civ to play as? And I didn't really have an answer then, because I hadn't been playing it long enough. But now I do, and that answer is the Huns. Because you see, the Huns have animal husbandry starting out, which means they can do pastures, which means they can do sort of stables and horses and stuff like that very early on. They save you a crucial few turns of science research, and also they have horse archers and melee siege units, cheap melee siege units early in the game. And siege units are what I have learned are the best things in Civ 5, right? Like literally, pretty much every time I play Civ 5, at a certain point in the game, I am just fielding out artillery units. I am just sending out cannons and artillery, just because those are what takes cities, right? Like, yeah, you do rather unfortunately need some kind of cavalryman or something to actually sweep in and enter the city and say, right, you fuckers, you belong to us now. But the thing that does the damage isn't your knights, isn't your pikemen or whatever. It's the artillery. It's your siege units. And so the fact that the Huns have siege units is fucking useful. Although it is quite annoying early on, because it's I've played it as other Civs before, and you start off with, what you do is you have your sort of settler, and you have your one warrior to protect them, right? And so pretty much what you do, first off, no matter what you start off with, when you're gonna pick a monument or a settler or work or whatever, the first thing you always do is you have your settler settle down, and then you have your warrior walk around, try and clear out any bandit encampments, scope out the area, and investigate ruins, which is a problem if you are playing as the Huns, because siege units can only attack cities. They can't melee siege units can only attack cities. They can't actually attack other units, right? Literally every other, cannons, artillery, all these other siege units, they can attack every other kind of enemy unit apart from melee siege units. Which means that if you're sending your fucking warrior around as a scout and he happens to investigate a ruin, then it's like, congratulations! Your units have managed to find some superior technology and they have upgraded to a melee siege unit, which means that they won't be able to take care of any bandit encampments that decide to have a go at you. Terrific! Like, that's admittedly a problem with them. But that's a problem that literally is only a problem very, very early game, because you just basically send out, you get your archers and your warriors out as soon as possible, and then, that's it. You've got things set, right? But the Huns are very good because they've got the siege units and horse archers. The archers are what do you damage. They're I mean, until you can afford to really get cannons and well, or the ballistae or whatever the early sort of siege units are. Pretty much what you rely on is ranged units, is the archers, right? And the archers are pretty weak and they're pretty slow. So the fact that the Huns have horse archers means you can send them around really quickly and they can, shoot everything up, which is really darn useful. But yeah, I'm learning this game. I am learning this game, and I think this is why I am liking this game a heck of a lot. This is why I am finding this game a heck of a lot more compelling than Skyrim. Is that because Skyrim is so very big, and there is so very much to do, the kind of iteration process of learning the game over and over and over again is very slow. Because and this is why I typically end up playing the first section over and over, and this is why I could actually play the first 11 hours of the unplayable Skyrim Special Edition on my rubbish PC, because because I happen to know those first 11 hours really fucking well. I have played so very often, getting to the point where you've got the first house in right one, getting to the point where you're set up at the Thieves Guild, right? Because those are the bits you need to do if you're going to do the rest of the game. And it's like, I've done the end of the Civil War questline. I've pretty much done the end of the Civil War questline as Imperials and Stormcloaks. I've done the end of the Thieves Guild questline. I've done the end of the Dawn Guard questline. As the good guys. I haven't done it as the vampires yet, but I know what happens if it goes to the vampires because I've seen Seasto play that. The only one I haven't really done is well, the only ones I hadn't really done are Half-Fire, which I've now done, and Dragonborn. And Dragonborn is the kind of the next thing to do, so I suppose, I don't know, Dragonborn will be what I do at Christmas, I don't know. But the thing is about Civ 5 is that I'm learning the game. I started off just playing on Settler, and I was making... that's why it took so very long for me to finish the game, because I didn't really realise what the issue was. Like, what I have been wanting is to get to, this is to a certain extent what Skyrim does deliver, which is that you get geared up, you do all your grinding, and then it's like, okay, big boss time, right? And to a certain extent, what I want is to have my empire, and then have some grand force fight back, and to genuinely be worried and like, what are we gonna do? Pump out units, And actually, I kind of got that last session. Because last session, I think it was that there was this. I had the Swedes to the bottom of me, and then to the right of me there were the English, and then sort of okay, okay, let's not use things like that. Okay, to the south of my sort of starting settlement, there was the Swedes. To the east of me were the English, and then to the sort of southeast of them, to the southeast of my settlements, and to the sort of to the south of the English were the Arabians, and the English are generally okay, but they do have quite impressive forces, and the Arabians, they're like, hey, we're really nice, but no, there will come a time and we will smash you, right? And apart from anything else, I am someone who quite, despite being an anti-theist in real life, I actually quite like doing the sort of the religion in Civ 5. So I don't really like pretty much any country that tries to set up their own religion. Because it's like, no, only my religion can reign supreme. Because in fairness, it can get you a lot of culture and growth and money. So sorry, that's just my tea. So just want to make sure when my tea gets just cold enough, I'm going to drink that. See, I would have been happy to let the Swedes go, but then they basically cut off the they decided to expand to the point where they cut off the south of the island, and they cut me off from Vatican City and from Budapest. And it's like, Budapest are a military state, which means they gift you units. You're not doing that. I'm sorry, you don't get away with doing that. You do not come between me and Budapest. I will smash you, and I did. And so I seized control of the continent, and it seemed like it was one continent, but then there was kind of attached by a little sliver of land. There was this other part of the continent where the English and the Arabians are, and I smashed them. And I for a while I was reigning supreme over this continent, but at the same time this was happening, I was sending off my scouts to the sort of the west, and it came across the French, and the French were like, hello, yeah, I'm so glad to be friends with you, open born. And I send my scout across, and it starts figuring out this island, and it's like, yes, this is quite interesting, isn't it? And pretty much the moment it seems like I am wrapping up the conquest of the Arabians, I am sending my artillery and my forces across the sea to arrive on France. And as this is happening, I happen to pass this sort of array of settlements by the Iroquois, and I did not know these people were in this game. I did not know this Civ was in this game, and they were like, hey, we're friendly, yeah, and I was like, okay, I might have to kick in your heads, but I can trade with you, yeah. And they're like, hey, Napoleon, he's kind of amassing his troops up there. Do you want to help me go to war with them? And it's like, yay, excuse to go to war, because that's literally what I was planning to do anyway. So, taking that was quite a little bit hard, because it's essentially the main difficulty of attacking in Civ 5 is sending artillery units overseas, because it's slow, and because embarking takes a turn, right? So it means that you have to essentially queue up on the landmass to get on there, and then obviously your units then have to, get into position so that the other units can get on. Which means that they're essentially out of action for a few turns as they're trying to figure stuff out. And while this is happening, right, the French can see what is going on. They're amassing their fleets, and they're like, okay, let's gear up. And so there was a lot of losses. But to be honest, this is what I wanted. I wanted a challenge. I wanted, almost the point in Civ 5 of having an army is to have an army to use. Right? The point of an army isn't that you've got this amazing hammer that will smash down. It's that you're gonna lose some of it, right? Because the more military units you have, the more gold it costs you to maintain. So if some of them get blown up, that's no worry. I've got a whole continent of cities that can be churning out the artillery units. And so they did, and so I got the French. I defeated the French. And then it came to the Iroquois. And the Iroquois, right, there was this city-state on the very tip of the Iroquois continent called Brussels. And because I had at this point pretty much maxed out the patronage, I just gave them a whole load of gold and said, hello, we're allies now. And I just basically completely chogged up their whole continent with artillery and stuff like that. And it was like, okay, we're now ready to go now. And I essentially started the war a little too early. I started the war when this city-state Brussels was completely filled with my units. Except the thing is that between Brussels and the two city-states of the Iroquois that would be immediately hittable were mountain range, which vastly limited the movement of my cannons getting in there. Which essentially meant that my cannons would very slowly trundle into view, not be able to do anything more, and basically just sit there being pounded at whilst stuff happened. So all of that continent so all of that country of Brussels that's completely, chock-a-block with artillery is drained very quickly. And so I end up having to send artillery over the sea. I'm churning out caravels and frigates, and it is tough. It is really tough. I mean, genuinely, at a certain point, one of the cities ends up getting taken by a scout, because I am someone who is, I've mentioned before, I love the artillery. But artillery can't take cities. So there would be several times when, cities would be destroyed to the point where they could be taken, but there would be no units there to take them. So they'd have more chance to just pound away at my own units. And meanwhile, while this is happening, the Iroquois are sending, settlements out to found on the French continent that I'd just conquered, or sending a settlement out to the main continent, sort of roundabout to the east of where the Swedes were. And so it's unfortunately I left some defensive artillery there, which is partly where the sort of reinforcements came from. But that was genuinely a little. There was genuinely a little amount of tension of, I could lose this. This could be my Lord. This could be the moment that I get my great failure. And it was tough and it was bloody, and I basically, at a certain point, it just became total war. It just became everything is dedicated to creating frigates, to creating artillery, to sending them over the sea. But the thing is that the Iroquois were on a continent quite far away from anything, even from the French citadel, right on the French citadel right on the fucking tip of the French continent, it's still quite a few turns away from getting onto the Iroquois continent. So it's like, yeah, total war. And then the things have got to be built. Even if you're purchasing them, they've got to fucking travel overseas. And it's just like this very slow churning and churning and churning and churning of just things rolling up onto the continent, setting up. And it's like you want to essentially land 2 or 3 units at a time so that they can't all be taken out at once. And then slowly success happened, and almost like you know, the grinding away at their melee units, at their ranged units. The fact that the more time you spend attacking a particular citadel, the more the less they can use that to top up their forces. And I think actually what I ended up doing was that I had a pirate ship that I had sent up, and like literally these 2 main things that were, this was supposed to be the great spearhead of where the attack would come first. Didn't happen there first. Where it happened first was down literally to the sort of southwest of the sort of the western part of the spearhead from the citadel. And I just landed some fucking artillery units there, and I took it. And it's like, once I had taken that one city, I've won. Because as soon as I have a city, it's only a matter of time before that citadel allows me, becomes, you know, able to start producing stuff. And if you can start producing stuff, you can start buying stuff, which means that at that point I could instantly buy more artillery pieces. And the moment I could instantly buy more artillery pieces, I lost. And it's like, you know, okay, reinforcements, take that citadel, cavalry units, we need lance units, go over here. And when it happened, it was glorious. And it almost, the victory came a little too early, because it's like, because the achievement came up and it flashes up, you know, on the screen, you know, congrats, you have won, you have got the military victory. And I'm like, no, there are still 3 more citadels by the fucking Iroquois left to be destroyed. I'm going to do this a complete victory. There would be no Iroquois left. And yes, I achieved total victory in Total War in Civ 5, and now I have achieved that with the Huns. What I'm thinking is that I am going to achieve a similar kind of thing with the Romans, because the Romans have 25% less cost for buildings that already exist in the main citadel, in the home city. Which in other words means, if you plan on conquering a lot of cities, then it's going to be cheaper production time to get those buildings built. Which means that you're going to have them up and running to produce stuff a hell of a lot quicker. Which is going to be useful if you're going to do a war footing. And yeah, and I'm going to try for a sort of a conquery. I'm going to try for a larger scale map, and try to take on more foes, and I might up the difficulty as well, because yeah, I'm learning the game, and I am liking learning the game, and this is what happens when I don't have work to do. And to be honest, I can't write at the moment. I can't. My head's just not in it. Anyway, see ya. Thank you to all my Patreons at patreon.com for helping to make videos like this possible. If you wish to leave a like or dislike to rate the video for my analytics, that would be much appreciated. Comments are always welcome, though be aware that they will be moderated before being published, so please be civil. If you liked this video, please consider adding it to your favourites, sharing it to your friends, or subscribing. If you wish to help me out, or my channels, please consider whitelisting my videos in your adblock software, subscribing for monthly donations through Patreon, or giving a small one-off donation. Alternatively, I have a Steam wishlist for games I would consider Let's Playing or streaming, so if you would like to see me broken before the Dark Souls altar, or just happen to have gotten a duplicate of a game in a humble bundle, then you know what to do. I also have an official Facebook fan page, Twitter account, Tumblr, Reddit and blog, so you can stay up to date with all of my videos, blog articles and the things I care about. Links are in the video description. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I think that all that now needs to be said is ban all guns, institute universal basic income now, and ensure government is elected by proportional representation. Oh, and also, fuck the racists and fuck the alt-right. It is a reward for Patreons that who donate $5 or more, that they get thanks for donating $5 or more to my Patreon, and I haven't been doing that because I'm sort of shit at things, and so I am going to be thanking all the people who have donated $5 or more, basically for all time so far, and this is going to be re-recorded every time someone else donates $5 more in future. So anyway, without further ado, here we go. Thank you to Michael Hamilton Fletcher, who donated on September the 13th, 2015. And thank you to Marcus Anthony Infante, who pledged $5 on September the 3rd, 2016, and thank you to Henry Wotton, who pledged $5 on September the 8th, 2016. Thank you to both of you, lovely, to all three of you, lovely people, and I will indeed be remembering to keep actually rewarding my Patreons for, you know, donating money to keep me alive, because that's nice, and because I have seen people complaining that, well, you know, this link to send you care packages from Amazon, all of the things on the wish list are really expensive. Yeah, well, you know, you can just give me money as well. That would be appreciated. So Patreons, thank you. You are lovely, wonderful. Apologies that you watch my videos, because I'm a sort of grotesque flesh golem of idiocy. Why? But anyway, thank you. Also, thanks to Martin Hebe, Cestrian vlogger, for pledging $5 a month on Patreon.